But here's the twist. One more bad game from Dylan, and Stefanski won't just be out of excuses. He might be out of time.
Potential to move some guys around.
2 weeks post the bye, has anything changed with Shedeur's practice reps or his routine? Well,
no, he's doing a really nice job, including just now coming off the field with the red zone drill that we did. So continues to work very hard, doing a nice job in meetings, doing a good job in the field.
Alluded to the red zone drill. Is it like the post-practice?
Yes.
Developmental guy?
Yes, it does. But I just want to make the point that we just have to be better in every area, and we'll look at everything we do, including, how we're putting these guys in position to succeed. Are we doing enough? When I say looking at every position, are we doing enough with the quarterback position? Do we need to do a better job? And I think I know the answer is yes.
Kevin Stefanski just went absolutely viral, and not in the way the Cleveland Browns wanted. In what might be the most disrespectful press conference of the 2025 season, Stefanski stood in front of cameras and basically told Shedeur Sanders and every Browns fan watching that no matter how bad Dylan Gabriel plays, no matter how many wide-open receivers he misses, and no matter how much the fan base is screaming for change, he's riding with Dylan till the wheels fall off. And when a reporter asked about Shedeur, bro, the way Stefanski dismissed the question with a smile was borderline insulting. This man is either trying to get fired or he's so stubborn that he'd rather tank the season than admit he might have been wrong. The internet is going crazy, Browns fans are in shambles, and Shedeur, he's just out here bawling in practice while watching his NFL dream get delayed by a coach who won't pull the trigger. Let's break down exactly what went down, why this is bigger than just one press conference, and why Kevin Stefanski might have just sealed his own fate in Cleveland.
Sunday we get to go do it in front of our fans, and that's the exciting part for us. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Denzel, did we just come down with this illness today?
Yeah, that was today, so I don't really have an update just yet.
With the legal guys today as well?
Yeah, just felt something early in practice, so did not finish.
No, no, Alex will let him.
There was a question. Daryl Ryder yesterday said, Kevin, what progress have you seen from Dylan Gabriel? What areas have you seen drastic improvement? Okay, this is an opportunity for your head coach to go ahead and highlight some things about your rookie quarterback that you insist upon shoving down our freaking throats, and tell us what you see from Dylan Gabriel that you take away as a positive. Because we don't see it, obviously. That's why Daryl's asking this question. We don't see it. We don't see the improvement. We don't see the positives for Dylan Gabriel. So what are they? And here's how Kevin answered, or rather did not answer that question. He says, quote, well, I think with young quarterbacks, Daryl, it's understanding that there's going to be ups and downs. Can Dylan play better? Yes, he can. Can we play better around him? Yes, we can. Can we coach him better? Yes, we can. So I understand the question, but I just trust that our young players at every position, and certainly at the quarterback position, are guys that are going to work their tails off to get better every single day. Did anybody hear in that word salad a bullshit one thing that he can point out that Dylan Gabriel has improved upon or is doing well? Nope, I didn't hear it either. It's not there.
So let me set the scene for you real quick. It's another typical media day in Cleveland, right? Kevin Stefanski walks into the press room, and you can already feel the tension in the air. Browns fans have been absolutely roasting this man on social media all week. Twitter's on fire, Instagram comment sections are brutal, and even the local Cleveland sports radio shows are calling for his head. Why? Because Dylan Gabriel just had one of the worst performances we've seen from a Browns quarterback in recent memory. And that's saying something considering the parade of quarterbacks Cleveland has rolled out over the years. Dylan was out there looking lost, man, missing wide-open receivers, holding the ball too long, making decisions that had Browns fans screaming at their TVs. We're talking about the kind of performance where you're watching and thinking, is this dude even seeing the field? The offense looks stagnant, predictable, and frankly, Gabriel looked like he was playing scared. But here's where it gets crazy. Instead of even entertaining the idea of making a change, Stefanski opens his press conference by doubling down on Dylan. No hesitation, no consideration for what the fans want, just straight up, we're sticking with our guy. Now look, I get it. Coaches are supposed to have their players' backs. That's leadership 101, right? But there's having someone's back, and then there's being so stubborn that you're willing to sink the entire ship just to prove a point. And from where I'm sitting, it looks like Stefanski is choosing the latter. The man made it his mission to let everyone know that Dylan Gabriel is his quarterback, period. No debate, no competition, no chance for Shedeur Sanders, even though Shedeur has been doing everything right.
2 weeks post the bye, has anything changed with Shedeur's practice reps or his routine? Well,
No, he's doing a really nice job, including just now coming off the field with the red zone drill that we did. So continues to work very hard, doing a nice job in meetings, doing a good job in the field.
Alluded to the red zone drill. Is it like the post-practice?
Yes.
Developmental guys? Okay. And then I guess, have you always done that in years past?
No.
So is that kind of unique to a team?
And this is where the disrespect really starts to sting. Because when you watch that press conference, when you hear how Stefanski talks about the situation, you realize he's not just supporting Dylan, he's actively dismissing Shedeur. It's one thing to say, hey, Dylan's our starter, we believe in him. It's a completely different thing to act like Shedeur doesn't even exist or isn't worthy of consideration, despite what everyone's seeing with their own eyes. Think about it from Shedeur's perspective for a second. This is a kid who came into the league with massive expectations. Primetime son, right? Dylan Sanders boy. He's been under the microscope since day one, proving himself at every level. He dominated in college, handled the pressure of being a Sanders, and when he got to Cleveland, by all accounts, he's been putting in the work. Extra film sessions, staying after practice for red zone drills, doing everything a rookie is supposed to do to earn his shot. But here's the thing that makes this situation so frustrating. Shedeur isn't just working hard in the shadows. The dude is actually showing out in practice. We're hearing reports from people inside the organization that when Shedeur gets reps, he's slinging it. Making throws Dylan's missing in games, reading defenses faster, showing that natural quarterback IQ that you can't really teach. And yet, Stefanski is acting like none of that matters. When that reporter asked about Shedeur's practice reps and routine, watch how Stefanski answered. He said Shedeur is doing a really nice job and mentioned the red zone drill. Cool, sounds supportive, right? But here's what he didn't say, and this is important. He didn't say anything about Shedeur earning more reps with the first team. He didn't say anything about the competition being close. He didn't say anything that would give Shedeur or the fans any hope that things might change. It was basically a pat on the head, like, good job, kid. Now go sit down while the adults talk.
And that unfortunately just kind of unravels for you down the stretch. First Baltimore game is a prime example of that.
Yep.
What's the teaching lesson there to your team, and just how do you get these games across the finish line so they don't fall apart?
Yeah, I mean, it's a 60-minute football game, so you have to have the mentality that you have to play your best both early and late. You're right, in the last game.
That's disrespectful, man. And Browns fans picked up on it immediately. Social media went absolutely nuclear. You had fans posting clips of the press conference with captions like, "Fire Stefanski now," and "Free Shedeur." The hashtag #StartShedeur started trending in Cleveland. People were digging up stats, comparing Dylan's performance to what Shedeur did in college, pointing out that Shedeur faced tougher defenses and put up better numbers. The evidence is right there, but Stefanski's not looking at it. Here's where this gets even more interesting. During the press conference, Stefanski talked about the importance of development for young players. He mentioned how they've been doing extra individual periods on Mondays and Saturdays for players who didn't get game reps. He talked about being extremely intentional about development and not just assuming players get better by sitting in meeting rooms. He said they want to give young guys physical reps. Okay, Kevin, I hear you. That all sounds great. But here's my question. If you're so focused on development, if you understand that young players need reps to grow, then why the hell aren't you giving Shedeur real game reps? You're telling me the best way to develop a franchise quarterback is to have him run red zone drills after practice with the developmental squad? That's the plan? That's how you're maximizing the potential of a first-round talent? It doesn't add up, bro. And this is why so many people think Stefanski is either lying or delusional. Because you can't sit there and talk about the importance of development and then refuse to develop your most talented young quarterback. That's not coaching, that's ego. That's a man who's decided he's going to win or lose his way, and he doesn't care who goes down with him.
So just what kind of challenges are they presenting with the way they've been playing?
Yeah, they're playing at a high level. Mary Kay, they've played really well, like you mentioned, but versus some tough opponents, some good offenses. They've played the run and the pass well. Good players throughout all three levels of the defense. I think they're doing a nice job.
Now let's talk about what this means for the Browns as a team. They're sitting here with a losing record, fighting just to stay relevant in the division. Every game matters at this point. The Ravens are playing at an elite level defensively, which Stefanski admitted in the presser. He talked about how Baltimore's defense has come alive and their numbers are off the charts. So you're about to face a dominant defense, your offense is struggling, your quarterback just had a terrible game, and your solution is to run it back with the same guy who couldn't get it done? That's insane! That's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And Browns fans are watching this in real time, pulling their hair out because they can see the writing on the wall. They know what's coming. Dylan's going to struggle against Baltimore's aggressive front seven. He's going to hold the ball too long trying to make the perfect read. The pass rush is going to get home, he's going to take sacks, and the offense is going to sputter. And then Stefanski is going to stand at the podium next week and talk about execution and complimentary football and all the other coach speak that doesn't change anything. Meanwhile, Shedeur is sitting on the bench, watching his opportunity slip away. And here's what kills me about this situation. Shedeur has handled it with nothing but class. You haven't heard him complaining to the media. You haven't seen him sulking on the sideline. He's doing exactly what you want from a young quarterback, keeping his head down, working hard, and staying ready for whenever his number gets called. That's the mentality that made his dad a Hall of Famer. That's primetime influence right there.
Play well in any facet, especially late. And that's a huge point of emphasis, is playing as a team, and our offense and our defense and our special teams feeding off of each other and playing complementary ball. It gives you a chance in those games.
But at some point, you have to wonder how long that patience lasts, right? Because Shedeur is talented enough that if Cleveland doesn't give him a shot, some other team will be happy to. We've seen it happen before. Teams letting talented quarterbacks walk because they were too stubborn to see what they had. And then those quarterbacks go somewhere else and ball out, while the original team is stuck wondering what could have been. The thing that really got people fired up during this press conference was how Stefanski talked about complementary football and playing as a team. He mentioned that the offense, defense, and special teams need to feed off each other. He talked about how they didn't play well in any facet late in the last game. So he acknowledges the entire team is struggling, the offense is failing, but somehow the solution doesn't include giving the backup quarterback a chance? Let me break down why this is so frustrating from a fan perspective. When you're watching your team lose, when you're seeing these same mistakes week after week, you want to see your coach trying something different. You want to see adjustments. You want to see some indication that the coaching staff is willing to adapt and evolve. But Stefanski is giving Browns fans the exact opposite. He's doubling down, digging in his heels, and basically saying, I don't care what you think. I don't care what the stats say. I'm doing it my way. That might work if you're winning. Bill Belichick could pull that off because he had the rings to back it up. But Stefanski? What has he really accomplished in Cleveland? He's had some decent seasons, sure, but has he won anything meaningful? Has he proven that his way is the championship way? No. So the arrogance of standing up there and dismissing legitimate questions about the quarterback situation just rubs people the wrong way. And let's be real about something else. This isn't just about Dylan versus Shedeur anymore. This has become about Stefanski's job security. Browns fans are starting to connect the dots. They're realizing that maybe the problem isn't just the quarterback play. Maybe the problem is the coaching. Maybe the problem is a head coach who's too stubborn to make necessary changes. Maybe the problem is an offensive system that isn't putting players in position to succeed.
To the spring, we've done a lot of things that we really hadn't done before because you have so many rookies. You have 2 rookie quarterbacks. You're trying to maximize every minute you have out there. So certainly throughout this season, we've tried to be extremely intentional about development of our players. We've done individual periods on.
So here's where we need to talk about what happens next, because this story is far from over. Stefanski might think he's in control of this situation, but the reality is that NFL coaches are only as safe as their last few games. And with the Browns struggling, with fans calling for change, and with ownership watching their investment crumble, there's a ticking clock on Stefanski's tenure in Cleveland. What makes this even more complicated is the media attention. You had Mary Kay Cabot asking pointed questions during that press conference. She's been covering the Browns forever, and she knows when to push buttons. When she asked about the quarterback situation, when she brought up Shedeur's development, she wasn't just asking random questions, she was asking the questions every Browns fan wants answered. And Stefanski's dismissive responses? That's bulletin board material right there. The national media is starting to pick up on this story too. You're seeing ESPN analysts talking about it, you're seeing former NFL players weighing in on Twitter, and the consensus is pretty clear. Most people think Stefanski is making a mistake. They're watching the tape, they're seeing Dylan's struggles, and they're wondering why a coach would be so resistant to even trying something different. Now, I want to be fair to Dylan for a second, because he's catching a lot of heat in all this, and some of it might not be entirely his fault. The offensive line has been inconsistent, the play calling has been questionable at times, the weapons around him aren't exactly Pro Bowl caliber, so it's not all on Dylan. But here's the thing, when you're the starting quarterback in the NFL, fair or not, you get the blame when things go wrong. That's the position, that's the responsibility. And the comparison to Shedeur makes it even harder for Dylan. Because Shedeur comes from a winning pedigree. He's got the Sanders name, which means expectations are sky high, but it also means he's been coached by one of the greatest players to ever do it. Primetime didn't just teach Shedeur how to play quarterback, he taught him how to handle pressure, how to be a leader, how to carry yourself like a champion, even when things aren't going your way. You can see that influence in how Shedeur has handled this benching. A lot of young quarterbacks would be complaining by now. They'd be demanding a trade, going to the media, making it uncomfortable for the coaching staff. But Shedeur? He's staying professional. He's showing up every day, putting in the work, and betting on himself. That's the kind of mental toughness that translates to success in this league. And that's what makes Stefanski's dismissiveness so frustrating. Because even if you want to stick with Dylan as your starter, you should at least acknowledge what Shedeur is doing right. You should give him credit for his work ethic, his preparation, his attitude. But instead, Stefanski just brushes it off with generic coach speak about doing a really nice job in practice. That's not respect. That's a participation trophy answer.
The special teams discussion in the press conference was interesting too. Stefanski mentioned they're looking at everything, potentially moving guys around to shore things up. So he's willing to make changes on special teams, but not at quarterback? That tells you everything you need to know about where his head is at. He's making adjustments everywhere, except the position that matters most. That's backwards. Here's what I think is really going on, and this is just my opinion based on watching how these situations usually play out in the NFL. Stefanski probably feels like his job is tied to Dylan's success. He invested in Dylan, he chose Dylan as the starter, and now his ego won't let him pivot. Admitting that Shedeur might be the better option feels like admitting he was wrong. And for a lot of coaches, especially ones feeling the pressure, that's a bridge too far. But here's what Stefanski doesn't seem to understand. Browns fans don't care about his ego. They don't care about him saving face. They care about winning. They care about finally having a franchise quarterback who can lead them to the playoffs and beyond. And if Shedeur gives them a better chance to do that, then that's who they want under center. It's really that simple. The comparison to other quarterback controversies around the league makes this even more interesting. You look at teams that made the switch early. Some of them found their franchise guy. You look at teams that waited too long. Some of them wasted entire seasons. The Browns are at a crossroads right now, and Stefanski is steering them toward the latter path. What's wild is that Stefanski himself talked about the importance of playing a complete 60-minute game. He admitted they didn't play well in any facet late in the last game. He acknowledged the team needs to play complementary football. All of that is true, but you know what else would help? Having a quarterback who can make plays when the game is on the line. Having a signal caller who can elevate the players around him. And maybe, just maybe, that quarterback is sitting on your bench watching Dylan struggle. Shedeur's time will come, though. That's what I believe. Whether it's in Cleveland or somewhere else, this kid is too talented to stay on the bench forever. The NFL has a way of exposing stubbornness. Coaches who refuse to adapt, who refuse to make changes, who refuse to put their best players on the field, they don't last. And Stefanski is playing a dangerous game right now. The irony of all this is that Stefanski could actually be the perfect coach for Shedeur. He talked about being intentional with development, about giving young players the tools they need to succeed. If he put that same energy into actually starting Shedeur, into building the offense around his strengths, into letting him grow through real game experience, the Browns might actually have something special. But instead, he's wasting everyone's time with this loyalty to Dylan that nobody outside the building understands. Browns fans are past the point of patience. They've been patient for decades, going through quarterback after quarterback, coach after coach, rebuild after rebuild. They were sold on Shedeur as a potential franchise changer. They got excited about the possibility of finally having stability at the position. And now they're watching Stefanski potentially waste it all because he's too proud to make a change. So where does this leave us? Well, the Browns have a tough game coming up against Baltimore. Dylan's going to get his shot to prove everyone wrong. And honestly, I hope he balls out. I hope he plays the game of his life and makes Stefanski look like a genius. Because at the end of the day, we all want to see good football. But if Dylan struggles again, if the offense sputters again, if the Browns lose in embarrassing fashion again, then the pressure on Stefanski is going to reach a boiling point. The fans are already calling for change, the media is asking tough questions, and ownership can only ignore the noise for so long. As for Shedeur, keep doing what you're doing, young king. Keep working, keep preparing, keep believing in yourself. Your time is coming. And when it does, when you finally get that opportunity to show what you can do on Sundays, the whole NFL is going to remember this moment. They're going to remember how Stefanski kept you on the bench. They're going to remember how you handled it with class. And you're going to make everyone who doubted you pay for it. Look, at the end of the day, this whole situation is bigger than just one press conference. It's about a coach who's too stubborn to see what's right in front of him. It's about a talented young quarterback being disrespected and held back. And it's about a fan base that's tired of watching their team make the same mistakes over and over again. Kevin Stefanski went viral all right, but for all the wrong reasons. The question now is whether he'll wake up and make a change before it's too late, or if he'll ride this sinking ship all the way to the bottom. What do you think? Is Stefanski making the right call sticking with Dylan, or should Shedeur be getting his shot right now? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk about it. And if you're tired of watching coaches disrespect talented players, go ahead and smash that subscribe button because we're covering all the drama as it unfolds. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss when Shedeur finally gets his moment. Because trust me, it's coming. Let's get it.